Guys? Compound Coalition video here, and I have Don Gorham from the Gorham Homestead.
Hello.
What would you say that you were famous for?
Famous for?
What do people know you for?
Homesteading and doing workshops, and in my younger years it was for singing and music. But
Like a professional country music artist?
I was semi-professional, yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, got to travel a little bit with Montgomery Gentry and Toby Keith and Hank.
And you got
Did a little bit of that.
There's some YouTube videos of you out there somewhere?
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, there is. I found them.
Yeah.
Cool. So how long have you been doing the homestead stuff?
Full time about 3 years. But I've been homesteading in a suburban sense for about 15 years. And before that, I grew up on a homestead here in Camden, and moved to Nashville. Wanted to get as far away from anything that had to do with farm, homesteading, country. I wanted the city life. So I did that for a while, and then as I got older, I sort of wanted to reconnect with my roots and started cooking from scratch and buying the natural foods and canning and all that stuff again. So off and on about 15 years, full time.
So when you left Camden, you went to be a movie star kind of deal? Is that like
I went to be a singer.
Run away from small town?
Yes.
Where'd
absolutely.
you run
To Nashville.
to? So not too far.
No.
You still got family here?
Yes.
So you
I
came
still
back
have family.
holidays and such?
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm here quite a bit.
Yeah. I actually had Thanksgiving dinner with you years and years ago
Really?
at Jaeger's house.
Really?
Chester brought you.
Okay. All right. I did not, I guess that was before I knew who you were, and that's pretty cool.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep. So T just said, your husband, he said,
Yes.
that, okay, you have permission, you can homestead now, and now you're going to be a homesteader?
No.
It's not at all.
No. So he grew up in Nashville, in Steeplechase area, and he was
Oh, shit.
always
For, like the expensive horses and stuff?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he grew up in that sort of environment. They didn't know anything about canning, anything about animals or gardening, or, when they wanted something, they just hired somebody to do
So
it.
he had a butler.
No, we didn't have they weren't like that well-to-do, but,
His idea of taking care of horses was Pablo took the...
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Stables.
They didn't have land. So they just had, a house and a subdivision, but they lived in like where the Cashes live, like Tommy Cash and Donnie Cash and all them. So yeah, he didn't know a whole bunch about anything, and his family still to this day thinks that I'm like out there, like the weird one of the family.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do they come to your house for Thanksgiving, or do you go to their house?
They now come to mine. When T's dad was still alive, we all went to, to theirs. But as, the older ones have passed away, when it fell to the next one, we were the ones that had the place to go. So everybody comes to us now.
Do your parents come there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your family comes to your place for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you like that?
I do. I love it. It's entertaining and feeding people. That's my love language. So, yeah, I want everybody to come and partake of all of the things that I have grown throughout the year. And I provide the Thanksgiving turkey from our farm. And, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that brings me joy.
Did you think that this was going to happen? Like, did you picture your farm how it is? And did you think you'd have as much property as you did? Like, when did that become, like, even in your head?
So, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted. I really wanted to build. But, we started looking at land, started looking we didn't want to go as far out as Dixon. But, the closer to Nashville you get, the more expensive everything is. And I had my plans drawn. I knew exactly what I wanted to build, and it just didn't work out. And one day I was at the farmer's market picking up my raw milk from my farmer there. And I was talking to him, and I said, hey, I really, one of these days I want my own milk cow. That's my dream. I want to do that someday. And the people in the booth sitting next to him were this young couple. And as I was getting my milk, starting to walk off, they called me over and said, hey, I heard you talking to Mike over there saying that you're interested in a farm. And I said, yeah. And the little girl just looked up at me and she said, you want to buy mine?
Holy shit.
And I was like, well, I don't know what you got. And so she wrote down the address on the top of an egg carton. And I got in my car, and of course I Googled it, looked it up to see where it was. And I thought, that's really far out. I said, but, we'll come and look at it. And so I called T on the way home, and I said, hey, this young couple, is wanting to sell their farm, and brought it up to me. And he said, we'll go look at it. And so we got out there like that Saturday, I think, and it was not anything that we thought that we wanted. Like the house is a 1970 something rundown. There was not a lot of infrastructure. One of the barns was falling down, but we walked up to the top of the hill at the top of the pasture, and I could see like out over the hills, and the sun was setting and the trees were turning. It was fall, and it was just beautiful. And I, in my imagination, like instantly could like see all of the things that it could be. Well, he couldn't. And so we got back in the car, and my daughter was with us, my younger daughter, Faith, and they started talking about, this is not what we want. This is awful. This is nasty. And I was sitting in the back seat, and I just got real quiet. And everybody knows when I get real quiet, like it's not a good thing. So by the time I got home, I had some tears welling up in my eyes. And we got in the house, and Faith left. She went to somewhere else, and he came in. He said, you really want that place? And I said, T, it's perfect. It's not too big. It's 23 acres. There's pasture. There's the lower part's 5 acres. There's 5 acres of woods. I mean, it's like divided up. And he said, but that house is just a piece of shit. And I said, well, yeah, I know. It's not, we lived in Bellevue. And I was like, it's not like what we live in now. And he said, no, it's not. And nobody's ever going to come out there. My family is just not going to go for this. And I was like, okay. So I turned on the waterworks for a couple hours, sat in the bed and kind of boo-hooed and carried on.
Can you cry on command?
I can't, but if I get emotional, like if I'm really, really upset about something, yes.
When you got in the car and your eyes started welling up, was that because you knew it was the right thing, or was
it was because I felt it in my soul that was what we were supposed to do? And I thought that it wasn't going to happen because we had talked about it for 10 years. Like we were going to do this for like 10 years, and it just never
10 years older.
Never happened. Yeah. And so I thought that, if it doesn't happen now, it's not ever going to happen. And they only wanted $350,000 for the property, which in that time in 2020, I mean, that was a great deal. I mean, we were selling our house for $150,000 more than what we owed on it, and going down in a lesser property, which doesn't happen now. I mean, if you sell something now, you're going to have to pay more. And so I felt like it was the right thing. And after just a couple hours of that, he came in and he said, you really, really, really want this, don't you? And I said, yeah, I really do. He said, make him an offer. And I said, okay. And I said, do you want to make them an offer for what they're asking for it? Because I'm scared that if we don't, somebody else will come in. And he said, yeah, offer them what they're asking. And so we did. We made the offer, and then 24 hours later, they came back and accepted it. They never even put it on the market.
Do you know where they went?
I do. So they went to East Nashville. They were like 23-year-old kids. They had thought that they were going to be hemp farmers. And yeah. So they got in.
You know some of those.
Yeah, exactly. So and up in the top of the pasture, it's still fenced in where they had all their hemp. And it's funny because we were walking around the property that it was October. So it's time for them to start getting ready to harvest it or whatever. Goodness gracious, the smell was just like unbelievable.
Well, the good news is there's probably no toxins in that soil because the hemp will pull it straight out of there.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's probably some pretty clean soil right there.
Okay, well that's a good benefit of it. But
not that there'd be toxins there. Have you seen your property from a drone?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, your property is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It is. And the surrounding properties are beautiful.
Yeah, it has turned out to be, it was the perfect place. I love my neighbors. All of my neighbors are like-minded. Everybody helps each other. We have a little community, the Middle Mount Sinai community, and everybody meets once a month. And it's the older people, that have been there for generations and generations, and they have stories. And I love hearing the stories of, the old farmers that lived there before, and how the land got broke up, and who had this and who had that. And, it's just a really cool, I couldn't ask for a better community
to
ended up in. Yeah, I love history anyway. So.
History is his story. You have to have them around to tell the story.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. The first time I was at your place, you were talking about a piece of property and finding the access road to the back piece of property because your daughter was going to come and build there.
Yes.
And it wasn't really on my radar, but the message for the last couple of years has been like we warehouse our elderly. And we put them away and then we talk about them, but we don't ever go see them, right? Whereas if we
Right.
kept them on the property, they could help raise your children and free you up to do harder work that they can no longer do and continue to tell their story, which is the history, right? You have to have
Right.
them there to tell the story the way you want the story told, or it just goes away and it doesn't exist anymore. But if you can have multiple generations on the same piece of property, if we can work hard enough to provide something that's worth them staying, right? We have to build it. You can't make somebody come to you, but you can build something amazing enough that they go, maybe this is real, right? And they want to come in and investigate it and see it, and then maybe they stick. And she's come in and out. I've seen her not there and I've seen her there, and she's around enough
Right.
that she knows what's happening, right? And
Right. It's
she's going to come in and eventually be a bigger portion, a bigger part of it. It really seems like.
yeah, it's instilled in her now. I think it's part of who she is.
Yeah.
So, and my younger son, my 16-year-old, I mean, he has helped build it. You know, everything that we've done when we do chicken processing, he's the dispatcher. You know, it's really meaningful to have your kids and your family and our neighbors will come when we do chickens and that sort of thing. And so I hope that my hope is that eventually they have enough emotional investment in it that they won't want to sell it off and even maybe acquire some more around us. My hope is that at the top of my hill, that pasture that's on the backside was once part of our property. The gate opens up over there and there's several ponds and that sort of thing. And I've been trying to buy that property from him forever and he's not
How
turning
old is
loose. He's in his 70s. So I keep kind of hoping, but he bought it like right about the same time that we were. So when it all got broke up.
Just keep pouring into him. Just keep helping him and just be there to talk to him. I mean, because chances are nobody else is.
Yeah, I even tried to lease it from him and he doesn't run anything up there. It's completely empty. He has to bush hog it or have somebody come bush hog it. And I was like, look, just let me lease it. I'll get some more cows. I'll put them up there. And when I called him, he said, you know what? I think I'm going to start running some cows up there. I was like, okay. But,
Then your question should have been, can I help you?
yeah, I didn't think about that. But he has farm hands. Like, though, he's one of those people like you. He has people. And he literally told me at one point that he had enough friends and he didn't need any more, and that included me.
Keep trying.
So, yeah.
We hire guys all the time that come in here and like, I'm here to work and I don't need you to work. And we've had people come in and ask for a job. I'm like, I don't have a position. And they go out and start picking up trash.
Yeah.
Like if you want, we've had people come in and just start working. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Just literally came in and started working, but he just doesn't leave.
Nice.
So just be that.
Good
Just add value where you can. You know what to do.
I do.
But you've built community even bigger than what you've already discussed. I mean, with the Middle Tennessee Homestead Alliance.
So I was the second Homesteaders Alliance group in Tennessee, and I didn't even know the first one existed when I started ours. And the girl that started the other one, she reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to combine forces? And, we'll make a logo and we'll try to get this in all the different counties. And that has grown. I started it, I think it was December, maybe of 2022, November, December of that time. And since then it's grown to over 1,000 people. But it's not just people in the Dixon County area.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of, people from all over, because now that we have them in different counties, if I host something that someone finds interesting but doesn't live in Dixon, they can come to mine or we can go to theirs or whatever. And we always have different topics and events going on.
Well, I drive an hour to go to it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Jason
exactly.
probably drives 90 minutes to go to it.
Right.
Every time I'm there, I see people that I know.
Right.
And it's always something we didn't know, right? The bee thing. I knew about bees, but that dude had to come in. It was fascinating. And then the whole reason Amanda's even doing any of the stuff that she's doing is because of your herb talk that day.
That's so cool, though. That makes me so happy.
You're the catalyst to that. You really are.
Yeah. I actually did, know that I was the one that got her started on that. But it's cool to see she's like so far exceeded me, though. But that makes me happy. Like she took it and she found something that she's really, I love it. I love herbalism and I use it, but I'm not as passionate about that part of it as she is. But it's so cool to see how she took off with it.
So what's your thing? Is it the milk cows?
I love home dairy. Yes, I do. I do love the herbal stuff, and I'm going to have my own, herbal garden, and I keep expanding that. But But yeah, the home dairy is really what really brings me joy.
How come?
I don't know. I really don't. I just feel a connection with those milk cows. They're so sweet, and I start my day off with them. And when I go out there and the sun's coming up, I'm kind of like you. I get up and I try to get things done early, and it's quiet. The sun's coming up over the hill. I'm on the back porch, and the sun is just like right where I can see it. And the cows just come in and they're warm. Even like in the winter, I kind of lean up against them, and it's peaceful, and it starts my day off in a peaceful manner.
Mm-hmm. So, and you recently got some more.
Oh yeah, I've got as many as I can have now. I can't have any more. I have 10.
What do you mean you can't have any?
I can't have any more on that pasture.
It won't support them.
It won't support them. Yes.
Did you bring them home in your SUV?
Yes, absolutely. In the back. Well, yeah, in my new car, actually. I brought them home in the back of my Nissan Rogue. I had 2 little Jersey girls in the back of the Rogue.
That's awesome. That's a great story.
Yeah, the first time I did that, I was in T's car, and I brought one from Cookville, which is Scarlet. She's one of my good milk cows now. And she held her bodily stuff until we pulled in the driveway. But these 2 little ones that I just picked up in Kentucky, I didn't even get out of the driveway before they had pooped all in the back of my car. It was all over the back windshield. It was all over the weather tech at the bottom. So I had to drive all the way home with the windows down.
I recently saw a video of a state trooper stopping a guy going down, I think it was Texas or somewhere. And he had showed up in like an old Cadillac or something. Uh-huh. And he thought he was buying a baby cow, and he ends up buying this. I think it's a longhorn, like a big full-size cow.
Oh, wow.
So they took something and cut half the windshield out and that A-frame, and that cow was sitting in that car, and half of the car was missing as he's going down the interstate. And I don't know if it was just for video, but it was.
Oh, that's funny.
They definitely had that cow, and he was going down the interstate. So how does a man buy a cow? If I wanted a cow, what would I do?
Well, I found the ones that I found on the milk cow market, because that's the one that I'm looking for.
Is that a website or
it's a Facebook page, yeah. And a lot of people who have baby cows or whatever, because dairy people will get rid of the babies for really cheap, because they're not interested in the babies. They're interested in the older cows, because the older they get, the more milk they make, and the younger ones don't produce as much as young first-time calving heifers. So unless they're looking for keeping a replacement heifer, they'll sell those babies off really, really cheap.
And a bull's worth nothing to them.
Bull is worth nothing.
But that grows up to be the same hamburger steak cow, right?
And it's actually tastier, from what I understand. I haven't had the Jersey meat yet, but we have a Jersey steer that was born in November, and that's going to be our beef in 18, 24 months, however long we grow them out.
But it's a pretty solid commitment. You can't leave. Somebody's milking your cows right now, right?
No, I milked this morning before I came.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's why I have to go back and forth.
Every day.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So if you wanted to go to the Bahamas for a week, what has to happen?
I have a little girl that's my farm sitter that I pay her $100 a day, and she'll come and do the milking, get stuff out for my customers, check the chickens, all of the stuff, take the dogs out. So yeah, but I have to schedule her out, several months in advance.
Is that her full-time business? Like she goes farm to farm to farm to farm?
No, she's actually a real estate agent.
Oh.
Yeah, so but she can work when she wants to and pop over to my house when she wants to. But she is really, really young. I think she's 22, and she has a very small farm in McEwen that's not big enough to really do cows or anything like that on, but she has chickens and geese and all that stuff. And so she wanted to learn. And so that was part of why she came to me, was asking if she could learn and work with me and do that sort of thing.
What kind of mistakes have you made on your farm?
Getting goats.
Yeah, everybody. We had 3 that turned into 20. He's laughing right now. Turned into
goats,
23.
Man.
Yeah.
I actually had a goat. My female goat, I thought I was going to milk them. So that was before I'd milk cows, because I wanted milk of some sort.
Lance.
I got the Nigerian dwarfs, thought I was going to milk them. Wanted to make the soap and, all that stuff. But my mama that I had would kill all the babies. As soon as another doe would have a baby, she'd kill them. Flip them up in the air, break their necks, whatever she could do. So and you can't keep them in. Once you have them in a fence, you better have that fence underground, or they're going to get their rub until they make a bow in it, and then they can just go right underneath it. So So I got rid of goats. That was one of my biggest mistakes. Building the cannery was not a mistake, but it was definitely a learning process. I've never built anything before, and I'd always dreamed of building something. And I didn't really realize how much money it was going to cost in the long run. And there was a lot of building mistakes that I made.
You made or a contractor made?
The contractor made, but I should have known better.
Should you have?
I mean, I should have known to have some footers poured. Yeah, I mean,
That's on you. The contractor shouldn't have known that.
No, yeah, I mean, yes, but yes.
So
that contractor ended up getting fired.
So I have light switches on the back of all of the doors.
Mm-hmm.
And the contractor came in and said, "Hey, where do you want the light switches?" I said, "I don't know. Put them where you should put them."
Mm-hmm.
And to my surprise, I still to this day walk in and try to turn the light switch on, but I have to open the door, come in and close the door because the light switches are behind the door. And I now know that the light switch is always supposed to go opposite of the hinges on the door.
Yeah.
But those guys build houses, right?
Right.
A lot of them.
You expect them to.
Yeah, but now I know.
Right.
So what's the footer problem? How did you alleviate that?
So the guy that poured my concrete, he was not told that we were going to be building the size of the building that we built. And he was told that it was going to be a barn. And so he felt so bad about what happened that he came back and dug out from under 18 inches up under the concrete, reinforced it with rebar, and then added another 2 feet of concrete outside of that, and then reinforced that as well. So he didn't charge me anything.
Do you keep in contact with him?
I do, and I put out to people when they're saying that they need concrete.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, to use mid-state concrete because he genuinely wanted to make it right.
Are you happy with the size of it?
It's bigger than I wanted. I'm happy with the square footage.
What is
it's taller than I wanted.
What is the square footage?
It is 1,500 square feet in the bottom and another 70 square feet loft.
It's only 1,500 square feet?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I tell people your place is like 4,000 feet.
No, it's 30 by 50.
Like I have in my head that it's much larger, and I've been in it.
I think it's the ceilings that make it feel so big.
So when people are like, "Hey, what would you do with this?" I'm twice as much concrete as you think you need. Whatever square footage you want more.
Yes.
However high you're going to build it higher. I always tell people I have 14-foot sidewalls. I can put pallet racking, but I can't put anything on the top pallet. I'm say 16 minimum.
Yeah.
That way you can loft it if you ever want to in the future. Like I have the loft upstairs you've seen, but you have to duck under the beams, right? I have no codes or zoning.
Right.
But in a normal city, that would be a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then also patio, like awnings everywhere. Like the whole thing, because it's going to keep the sun off of your sidewalls, the air conditioning is going to be less, and you're going to have storable storage outside that's under weather, and we can always put another wall there to encase it and then close it at any point.
That's true. I'm really glad that I did the porches like I did.
Yeah.
Because it also gives extra, usable space.
Yeah, that's where your store and stuff.
Yeah, people show up and get their stuff, and yeah, it's really it's a good thing that we did that.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, but my walls are 18 feet, and I can't. They didn't pour enough, and there's nothing they can do about it now. But they didn't pour enough concrete, the thickness, for me to ever be able to make a second story.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they did under the loft end because the contractor did tell them enough that they kind of knew there was more weight on that side. But the rest of it, I can't ever have a second. Even though I had the windows put down so that I could do a second story if I wanted to. But now I know I can't because
do you
of the
want
concrete.
A second story?
Not now, but my thought process was that if we ever wanted to turn that into our house as we got older, because we did the 36-inch wide doors, I was thinking of aging in place, and that if I ever needed to turn that into a house, I could. Or if anyone ever bought the property in the future, they could make it into a residence.
Does your farm make money?
Yes and no. So the first year, no. Second year, I made a little bit of money. The third year, I have made $15,000 to $20,000.
Does it pay for itself?
Yes. And that was always my goal. That was my goal. I didn't want my food to cost me anything. I wanted to be able to sell enough milk to pay for my milk, sell enough chickens to pay for my chickens, sell enough turkeys to pay for our turkeys. And we have consistently done that. And now we're starting to slowly, because I'm a slow growth person. I haven't tried to go, too much too fast as far as that goes. And we're moving into the profit margin finally, since I was able to quit my job and stay home. Or I'm not home all the time, but being home more has helped in that regard, because I'm able to put more into it.
Do you include your hourly time into that? When we say, does it pay for itself?
Not really.
Okay.
I should, but I don't. Mm-mm.
But you know what you could do to make a lot more money, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. I think probably doing more rounds of chickens, because I'll say the most profit I've made is off the turkeys.
I think Nicole said that too.
Yeah, I mean, it has been, because I sell my turkeys for $4.50 a pound, and they get to be 30 pounds.
What time do you how old are they when you put them out on grass?
They are, so I'll get mine the first week of June, and I'll probably have them out on grass mid-June.
So is it true they'll drown themselves like turkeys?
Absolutely true.
For real?
They find the most creative ways to die you have ever seen.
So we've never eaten our turkeys. Like I typically have one or two turkeys,
right?
And we get the big royal palms or the
pretty
ones. But every time one has been dead, it's always after a thunderstorm. If there's a thunderstorm, I got a 50-50 chance I'm going to have a dead turkey, and I don't know what it is. Because they're big turkeys. I swear they get hit by lightning or something.
It could be at that age. I mean, it's typically the young ones, like up until they get to be 12 weeks or so. Mm-hmm. That's when they really try to die. And then once they get past that point, they're almost invincible. Like when we process them, we can't get them to die. Like they take forever in that cone to.
Oh, I've been there, combative.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's a workout. I'm sore always the next day when we've moved them, from one place to another. But yeah, they'll spend 10 minutes bleeding out.
Yeah, Amanda processed one 2 years ago for our Thanksgiving. We went out there to Nicole's and she did one up.
Nice.
Yeah. So turkeys is the money.
It has been for us so far. I'm adding bees this year.
So how do you sell the turkey? Like how do you find your buyers?
Well, last year and this year I sold out the day that I posted them. I just post them on the Homesteaders Alliance group, post them on my Facebook page, put them on my website. And typically the ones that have bought from us the year before always come back, and then there's extra people. So would
you make more money doing a workshop? Like because it would draw people to your property, and then they would do it. They'd pay a lot more for the workshop, and then the turkeys included.
It might be. I'm doing that with the chickens. I'm having because we sell the chickens and butcher them as well, and I am doing that this year, coinciding that with a chicken butchering workshop.
Have you had heat knock out any of your birds?
Oh, the meat chickens, yes. Last year
because they're Cornish crosses.
Yes, we lost 40 birds in one day, and in actually 2 hours. It was that really hot day that we had last summer, and I had moved them, but I wasn't thinking about it, and I turned them to where they were facing the sun, and like I said, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that the sun was going to be coming in from that direction when the evening hit. And we went to the school for my son's orientation for just like 2 hours and came back, and it looked like a massacre had happened. They had all moved to the very back of the chicken tractor, I guess trying to get away from the sun, and then they piled on each other.
Yep, just like in a breeder.
Yeah, and then they just died.
And it's probably not even the sun that killed them. It was all of them smothering each other.
Yeah, probably.
So what did you do with those birds at that point?
I took them up to the hill where Caitlin was going to build and threw them all out. I should have saved, because you told me at that point that I should have saved them for the dogs. But I was just so distraught it never even crossed my mind.
Because at that point, if you have an empty freezer.
Mm-hmm, and we do.
And you know that if you take all those birds and put them in the freezer, it's going to thaw the entire freezer. But you have to ice them, which you also know, but anybody listening, you ice them in the big, buckets of ice. And then you don't even have to vacuum pack them or anything. Just put them in the freezer.
In a Kroger bag.
Just put them in anything. And then when we want to use them, I just set them in a Rubbermaid container the night before, and then we just chop them in half and give half to each dog. And then the dog will gnaw on that for several days, so we don't have to feed the dog for days at that point.
Oh, nice. See, I wondered how you did that. I didn't know if you threw it out there whole or if you.
We will throw it whole.
And they'll eat it that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like we feed full whole rabbits,
Mm-hmm.
and you might have a dog that won't eat it. And if it does, you just take a pair of scissors and you cut the belly open, expose some of the guts, and then they'll eat it every time. And usually you only have to do that once or twice.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like when we have dead bunnies and stuff, because we produce a lot of rabbits, so something always happens with a litter. The
Right.
dogs eat them like Scooby snacks. They just love them. Now we just had, when we processed that hog here Thursday,
Right.
Friday, she was pregnant, so there's 6 piglets in her. And I gave the piglets to the dogs, and only one of my dogs ate a pig, which was weird. I'm surprised that they didn't eat those piglets because they came out of the belly, right? They hadn't been born. They were
Right.
close to being born.
What do you do with your guts when you do you still process chickens? I saw you had a place
So
to do it.
all the guts, everything, to include this pig, those guts are up there in those chicken pens.
I
And
got
they'll
you.
spend days going through them. So they'll kind of like stop eating them,
Mhm.
and you get a little odor out of them, and then you just kick it over in the maggots, and then they start eating it again. But they consume everything. Like nothing leaves this property.
Gotcha. Well, when we had pigs, we had 5 pigs last year, and we processed chickens during that time. Everybody had told me, throw your guts in the big pen. The pigs will eat them. My pigs didn't touch them.
Your pigs are too hungry. They're too fed.
Okay. Well, I wondered what the whole
Yeah,
deal
when you
was.
need to dispose of a trespasser, which I've not yet. I've not had to do that. But if
Right.
society collapses, stop feeding your pigs. They'll eat the trespasser.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Well, the worst whipping I ever got in my life was from my granddaddy, and it was because he had pigs, but he had those big, like I had little Berkshire pigs. He had the big 1,000-pound pink hogs, and I had crawled over the fence, and I was sitting playing in the dirt next to the trough, and all these big, huge, giant pigs were all the way around me.
They wanted to eat you.
All I can remember is him grabbing me by the back of my shirt and pulling me over the fence and then whipping me all the way up the hill. And I just knew I'd gotten a whipping. I knew I wasn't ever going in that pig pen again. But it wasn't until I got older that I realized, like, how dangerous, because there was nobody down there with me. I was 8 years old.
Would you be telling that story right now without the whipping?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't, because it wouldn't have stuck out to me. And because now I know why, I knew, and that whipping was one that I never forgot. He lit me up.
Do you think that's part of the problem with the younger generations, that they did not have whippings?
Oh yeah, I'm thankful for every whipping I ever got.
Did you ever have one? Yeah? Oh yeah? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get whippings? All you guys?
Look at me.
Austin never got a whipping. What's wrong with him?
That's all I got.
Yeah, I got lots of whippings.
Yeah. So, you have some pretty solid beliefs in some things I've seen you post lately. Anything
Which
come to
part?
mind? I don't know. What comes to mind? Anything. Whatever you want, wherever you want to go.
One of the solid beliefs that I have is that men shouldn't be competing against women in sports.
Why are you so
That's one of the
passionate about
things.
that?
Because they're taking away opportunities from women that they fought for so long in the Title IX, and to be able to have scholarships and to be able to have their titles and their trophies and all of those things, and we can't compete against men. That's the whole reason that we have women's sports. And then we have men who are can't compete against other men, and so they want to come in and compete against women.
Why are you so passionate about this?
Because my daughters were sports. My daughters always played sports. They were softball, they were basketball. My sister-in-law holds several diving records at this Arkansas college, and she's super concerned that someone's going to come along and take those records that she's on the wall, and it's just not right. It's just not right.
Do you know anybody that's directly affected?
Currently, no.
But in the past, you do?
No. I don't know anybody that is directly affected, no.
I agree with you. I'm just curious.
And just my thought process is, what about my granddaughters in the future? What about, any kids that may come along that may continue to be competitive like my girls were? My girls were really, really good. But if they were playing against boys, it's not only about the opportunities that they're taking away, it's about the fact they could get hurt. Like some of the girls
We know.
the girls on the basketball court are getting slammed by 6'2" girls in with long hair, but a 5 o'clock shadow.
How do you think we got here?
Complacency. A little bit at a time. We accepted things as okay. I think COVID really catapulted that. I think TikTok catapulted that. And I think that young people are so starved for attention that anything they can do to make themselves stick out to be weirder has become a good thing. It is because it has a way that they can bring attention to themselves. Even if it's negative attention, they're getting attention. That's all I don't know. Beyond that, it's like one morning I woke up and I asked the same question. How the heck did we get here?
Who'd you ask that?
Myself. Like, I was thinking, because I was seeing these things come up, and it was almost like I didn't believe it at first.
Yeah.
But the more you delve into it, the more you look, I was like, okay, there's somebody over in golf. Okay, there's these men in basketball. Okay, I didn't realize it was so widespread as it is.
I saw somebody in the local Camden group ask if the school board really voted to put litter boxes.
I saw that this morning.
So somebody's like, no, it hasn't happened anywhere. It's absolutely happened. I don't know that it has happened here.
I was going to say, they were joking, right?
No, it's happened. There's photos of it. There's videos of it. It's absolutely happened. There's tampons in the bathrooms of men's bathrooms and in REI and all over the place. I would be surprised that it has happened here in Camden.
Yeah.
But so how do you think we got here?
I don't know. Furries is a whole nother level of something that I can't even wrap my head around.
Told you. He happens to reside in the largest county that has all the furry events.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. Well, I mean, even in Dixon, there's one.
I think he's an undercover furry. There's one furry, or there's a furry event.
I'd be proud of it.
So Kayla and I used to clean a house. You knew I was going here.
Do you still have your furry costume?
Yeah. She's never been a furry, but we cleaned for a house of furries, and they had their costumes with their little furry heads in their teenagers' bedrooms, and that was like of course, they also had a lot of devil worshiping kind of stuff around too, but
people say that about me.
But I think yours is more of a museum. Yours feels like a museum. It
so
doesn't
so
feel
it's okay
like
for me.
I think it's okay for you because I know you.
Okay.
I know that.
So maybe if you went to the furry church, you'd be okay with it.
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you think there's a sexual component to all the furry stuff? Is that where you're going with this?
Maybe. I don't know if it's a sexual component or if it's just another layer of I don't fit in, so let me see if I can make a category for myself where I do fit in.
Have you ever been to a Comic-Con?
What is that?
Like, it's where all the comic books and stuff. It's a huge event, right? But people dress up as their favorite comic book characters and movie actors and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think there's a big difference between the furry and that, or like Halloween, for instance, right? Did you ever go trick or treating?
Yeah, sure.
What did you dress as? What's the last thing you remember costume was?
Female Dracula.
Okay.
And that was only 3 or 4 years ago.
But what's the difference between I'm not arguing for furries.
I know.
Anything about them.
So, that was just, everybody did it. It was just for fun. It was not like I thought I was Dracula.
But so you think those people think that they're furries?
Yes. Like, they truly believe that's their thing. Like, they use the litter boxes and they have the furry.
They have litter boxes in those houses? Really?
They make the noises, the animal noises.
Yeah, they make the cat noises and just the whole, and some of them
it's a lifestyle, John.
walk on 4 legs and have
you
a
introduce
chain
us?
and
John does.
Can I introduce you to them?
Yes.
Yeah.
no.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's the weirdest because anything is acceptable now. Like, where we used to have at least some standards of what was semi-normal, now everything is acceptable, so everything is out there.
How long do we have to go back in time to where a father would grab one of those men competing against his daughter and just taking care of that on their own? When do you think that changed? Because it would have happened, right?
Yeah, it would have happened for sure. I honestly don't know. I don't know where that happened. I don't know when men became less I know I could say one thing is that they've taken all of the manlyhood out of being a man, and they've made it to where, men that have tempers are really badly chastised, and they are made into be the bad person rather than the person who was committing the offense.
Do you think it's good for a man to have a temper? You've had relationships where your man was very aggressive and angry and hostile during a fight or an argument?
I think it's good for a man to have a temper when he can control himself and direct it in the right direction. It is not good for a man to have a temper towards someone that he can overpower and who is a weaker sex than him. Because that's being a bully. That's not being a man. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with a man who's willing to fight at all.
So when you were earlier, so when are you running for office?
I have no plans of running for office.
That's why you need to.
It's funny that you say that because someone's trying to get me to run for General Sessions clerk in Dixon County because I have all of the clerk experience, the 20-something years of clerk experience that I have. But I don't know that. I don't know.
But clerk doesn't change policy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
What does clerk do? Secretary, basically, like files in office.
Keeps the court records and has some control over court policies.
But doesn't steer the boat.
No, it does not.
I went to the chicken thing where you presented, right?
Mm-hmm.
I brought people with me.
I know you did. Yeah, that was
I thought
cool.
it was important what you're doing, and I wanted to see you do that because I don't want to do it.
Right. And I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about keeping. And people ask me questions like, "What do you think you're doing?" I mean, you're not making any difference. But if somebody doesn't speak up, nobody's going to speak up. And I'm very passionate about keeping laws on the local level to where people can live and live free. I understand I can't change national policy. I can't change even at the state level beyond a certain degree. I can, let my state representatives know how I feel, but they have so many more constituents than me. And at the more local level, there's a lot less. It takes a lot less people to move the needle.
When we were there, who kept banging that fucking gavel?
The mayor. The mayor.
He's been mayor for 20 years?
I know, yeah.
How has that happened?
It's one of those things. When they get in, you can't get them out. They just keep and nobody runs against them because they've been there for so long.
Why don't you run against him?
I don't know that I want to be mayor. I don't know that I want that.
But I think that you've had this same thought. I think you've had this conversation before.
I have. And I have gone back and forth, but I just don't know. That doesn't coincide. As much as I'd love to help change the laws, it's not the life that I want to live. Like, I don't want to be in charge of other people.
That's why you need to do it.
I don't want that to be part of my life, though.
If
I don't
not-
want,
but
because
if
then you
not-
live inside a glass.
But if not you, then who?
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. It would just be a whole lot on me on top of my farm and
Yeah, but
things
maybe
that-
doing it brings some attention to it.
That's true. Even if I just ran, at least somebody who would.
Maybe you do it with no intention of even winning. You just do it and put everything into it for the 6 months, a year, whatever.
Right.
And then somebody else steps up and goes, "Yeah, I should probably do this."
Yeah. That might make a difference that way. But I don't want that to be my life. I do not want to be back in government. I was been in government for 25 years. I don't want to be back in government.
So did the laws change on the chicken stuff, or is that still kind of drift out there?
So what did happen, I ran. You remember seeing the guy with the ponytail that was the codes inspector that was there? He kind of came in. He had the white shirt, kind of looked real clean cut, but he had the hair with ponytail. He was the codes guy that was involved in all of that. And I ran into him at Tractor Supply, and of course I cornered him. I was like, "Hey, I want to know what's going on with the chicken thing." He goes, "Oh, I know you." I said, "Yeah, you know me. I was one of the ones that talked." And he said, "Tell your people to just do what they want to do." And I said, "Okay, so does that mean," he said, "we're not changing anything. We're not adding the $25 fee. We're not going to be inspecting anybody's coops."
Can you give me that in writing?
Yeah, that would be nice. But he didn't want to do that.
No, of course not.
But what he was saying was, we're just gonna go back to what we
what
were
he said
doing.
was, we bit off more than we could chew. And
Yeah,
it's a bad idea.
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. And they weren't expecting that kind of, reaction from the community.
The room was full.
Mm-hmm.
The room was full.
Mm-hmm. And I think the only thing we could do at this point, because T and I have talked about it, is if we wanted to change it to where they lowered the number of square or the footage from one house to another, because right now it's only like 20 feet. No, they wanted to lower it to 20 feet. It's like something crazy.
I
Like,
thought it was 1,000.
yeah, I was going to say right now, I had that backwards. It's 1,000 feet from another house. The only way that we could lower it is to actually do a petition and, file something with the.
Is anybody actually enforcing that?
No, that's what he was saying. They're going to go back to not enforcing it at all.
So if there's a problem, we'll show up, but we're not looking for it.
Correct. That's exactly what he told me.
Because that would remove, like, when you drive through there, I mean, you see people with horses in there. They wouldn't be able to have horses.
They're grandfathered in. Those people are grandfathered in. But what I'm told is when those farms sell, they will have to be subdivided.
Which seems to be rather quickly. There's a whole housing project,
Mm-hmm.
like, very close to you when we come in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm like, holy shit, those houses are like the size of a garage and they're 3 stories.
Yeah. They're doing the tall skinnies out there like they are
Yeah.
doing everywhere
I can-
else.
That farmer across the street's got to be pulling his hair out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's one reason why I'm kind of glad where we are, because I don't think it'll come out
Yeah,
to
you're
our
in a
road.
pocket. You guys need,
I'm in a holler.
you need a big ranch gate.
I would love to have that.
You need like some big, huge, like,
I want razor wire.
Jeff can put that in for you. He's all about it.
I want it to look like the state prison around my farm.
Yeah, from the outside.
Yeah, from the outside, exactly.
So what's next there? Like, what's the next project?
We're putting in bees in April. We're doing as part of our Homesteaders Alliance group meeting, we're going to do a bee install. Got 1 box, and I'm going to get another box, and I think I'm going to do 3 hives to start with.
Which is 3 stacks.
3 separate hives.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, with all the brooding boxes and all that, it'll be.
And the man that came out, is he who's coming to do it? The guy that came to the bee presentation out of Bon Aqua?
No, actually, John Witherspoon's going to help me with
Really?
it. Because he's got bees, and he's just going to come. And
Yeah,
now that's where I get all my stuff from, is from a bee's closet. But,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, John's honey's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he makes good bread too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does.
So have you done a bread making class?
I have not. I do have sourdough, and my sourdough is actually came over from Germany a couple 100 years ago.
That's what I tell people too.
It really is. I promise. Mine was from a German, from Amish. One of my girlfriends was married to an Amish guy that born Traeger from Hollow Rock.
I'm kidding when I said that.
I know.
I believe that it did.
It really did. And it just had been passed down through their family, and I can't kill it. I can put that thing in the refrigerator and leave it for a year.
I know somebody can kill it.
Amanda.
Yeah, we killed some. I don't know what
Hers
it
has
is.
mold on it.
Yeah, I've heard a few other people too. Like my sourdough starter died.
I'm just telling you, mine is so old, and it has such a diverse amount of different bacteria and yeast, the different cultures, that it doesn't. I have to feed it twice, and it will come right back to life. The first time I get a few bubbles. Second time, if I feed it the second time, it comes right back to life. It don't matter if it's been in there a year, 2 years. It doesn't matter. And I've had it 18 years.
So what do you do with all the milk that you produce?
I sell it. I keep some for our family, and then I make our creamer every week. I make our butter every week. Any dairy that we need that we would buy at the store, I make that. And then whatever excess that I have herd share members that'll come and pick it up.
What about all the attacks and stuff? Not attacks, but all the thought that you have these dairy allergies, and everybody has dairy allergies, and you shouldn't consume all these dairy products now.
You do not typically, I will not say everybody, but the typical person is not lactose intolerant. They are pasteurized milk intolerant. Because once it goes through the pasteurization process, so proteins are lock and key, right? Amino acid, protein, lock and key. They fit together. Once you denature the shape of a protein, your body can no longer recognize it, and it cannot fit together with that amino acid. So your body freaks out. And that is why people get diarrhea and upset stomach and all that sort of stuff from the pasteurized milk. And years ago, they didn't pasteurize it to the level that they do now. Now they could pretty much leave it out on the shelf and it wouldn't go bad.
So what is pasteurized, and what exactly is that?
Pasteurization is heating up of the milk to, I believe, I don't do it, so I believe it's 90 to 110 degrees. And that's just for regular pasteurization. Now they do the ultra heat pasteurization, which raises it up to about 180 degrees. And that is, I mean, it's boiled to death.
And it removes. Do they filter it in any manner?
I'm imagining they do. They homogenize it, make it all to where it stays, it doesn't separate. The milk and cream doesn't separate. I'm sure they filter it.
So
they remove all the good stuff, and then they have to put vitamin D in it, and they have to put all this other stuff in it to make it to where it actually does what, they want it to do for kids.
So when they pasteurize it, do they remove the cream first?
No, you have to so they may run it through a cream separator. I don't. I let mine sit for 24 hours, and then I just ladle my cream off the top, and then I put that in a separate mason jar. So I don't know about the industry, the dairy industry, exactly how they do that process. But I would imagine that they do. I'm sure they keep the cream and sell it, especially for skim milk. I mean, there's hardly any fat left in skim milk.
You don't sell skim milk.
Oh, no. I sell skimmed milk. Like, I'll take half the cream line and I'll leave the other half of the cream line for the customer.
Why do you think there's so many legalities around milk?
Because the dairy industry wants it to be that way. They want to keep the market cornered so that they can, have it all centralized, and that the, average farmer, average person, community, small community can't support themselves.
You really think that's what it's about?
I think it's money. Yeah, 100%. Because it's
about...
not dangerous.
Yep.
I mean, people have been drinking milk for thousands of years. Even the Bible talks about the land of milk and honey. And, they didn't pasteurize it back then. And it was, one of the great things that, is talked about in the Bible. And people don't get sick from well-handled raw milk. You have a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice in your lifetime than you do of getting sick from raw milk.
What would poorly handled raw milk be?
Poorly handled raw milk would be letting feces get into the milk, or not using proper cleaning methods, not cleaning the udders, leaving some poop or dirt or whatever on the udder, and then being filthy conditions, because that is when the TB breakout happened, like years ago, when all the kids got sick and died and stuff. That was because the cows were being kept in CAFOs and fed spent grains, and they were being in very tiny conditions where they had no room. They were poor, like the cows were poor. And so people were getting sick and dying, and that's why. It was from the conditions the cows were in. It wasn't from the milk. It was the contamination that they did of the milk.
You don't read through history like back pioneers and stuff like that. You don't ever hear about, we didn't see the Willis family, and when we came up to the homestead, they were all dead. It must have been the
milk.
Yeah, you don't ever hear that.
No. And hand milking, I mean, I moved to machine milking because it's much more convenient. And it's a closed system, so there's not a lot of chance of anything getting into the milk. But hand milking is actually cleaner, per se, if there's no other contaminants, than actually running it through the machine.
So I know,
even back then, yeah.
So it's few and far between, but there's people selling raw milk, and it's literally like bootlegging. Like
it's a Homestead drug deal.
For real, like they're stopping them on the interstate over milk, and you see.
Oh yeah, it's usually making parking lot.
In California, you see like machine guns and SWAT teams at the farmers market over raw milk. Like, it's fucking insane.
I would go to jail quicker for selling raw milk without a herd share than I would for selling dope.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Because it's the FDA, right? Not the
right.
DEA. It's wild.
Right.
So how does the herd share work? What exactly is that?
Herd share is where I have members, and they sign a contract saying they understand the risks of raw milk and that they are committed to so many gallons a week or a month or however they want to do it. And then they technically you're supposed to charge up front for their portion of the cow. So technically they own a part of the cow, and they're not paying me for the milk. They're paying me to milk. They're paying me for the act of milking their cow. And I know that it's circumvention, not compliance. So they they'll pick up their milk once a week or whatever it is, and
That's a good T-shirt. Circumvention, not compliance.
that's the name of my game. That is everything that I do on my farm. That is how, because we're legal. He's an attorney, and so we always look at things and try to figure out how we can do what we need to do and circumvent or go around the law rather than just flat out breaking the law or complying with the law.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. There's places where they have to sell it as plant fertilizer or pet food.
Yeah, and some places actually have to put some sort of dye or chemical in it or something in some of the other states.
So I couldn't come and just walk up on Tuesday since I'm not a part of your herd share. Legally, you couldn't sell me milk.
Correct.
Could you give it to me?
Nope.
You can't.
I can't even serve it to you.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Like I can process chicken here
Mm-hmm.
and put it in Ziploc bags and be like, here's some free raw chicken. But if I wanted to sell it, I have to have an FDA inspection or an FDA inspected butcher process that. I can give it away all day long.
They've taken raw milk even a step further and said you can't even serve it.
That's wild.
I agree.
Are there how's the weather in Tennessee with that? Like, is FDA coming around to farms and such and harassing people in Tennessee?
No, not to my knowledge.
They sure seem to be like in Pennsylvania.
I think it's because we are more of a food freedom oriented state, and even our more liberal members of our state legislature tend to lean a little bit more that way. Like they're not as hard against people producing their own food as maybe some people in the other states. I think it's just because a lot of their constituents, regardless of where they are farmers. And it's not a whole as much big industry concentrated stuff in Tennessee. We have a lot of small holdings, so they kind of have to take that into account.
So the damn Confederate flags.
Right?
They're scared of them.
Right. They should be.
So, anything you want to add here?
I don't think so.
What would people be surprised to find out about you?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
What would people be surprised?
Yeah, tell me, Kate, because I don't know. I can't think of anything.
She said it.
That she can sing really great.
She can sing
She's in
really
her own
well.
head.
Yeah, one of these times you're gonna have to let me sing.
What else you got?
Listen.
Anything else? Tell me a secret your mom wouldn't want known.
Ooh.
That I had Caitlin when I was 17.
I was about to say, yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm proof.
She went to my high school graduation with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I don't know.
Such a harlot.
I know.
She carried a gun in the courthouse every day to work.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
knowing that she
something.
could commit a felony.
I may or may not have had my
May or
gun
may
when
not.
I went into the courthouse to work on a daily basis, and it may or may not have been a felony if I'd have gotten caught with it, even though I was an employee.
Gotcha.
But there's some crazies coming in the courthouse. So
Yes.
So you're starting a YouTube channel and you have a podcast?
yes,
How's that going?
I'm getting it going. It's better than actually. I've had some people here approach me asking me about it, so it's kind of.
Like, can I be on it or what?
Well, yeah. I don't know how to have guests. Like, I've only figured out so far. I've only done like 11 of my episodes, and they've all just been me or me and T talking about our homestead. I haven't figured out how to do the call-in kind of thing. But,
I mean, all these people asking you about your podcast, are they asking to be on it or they're asking?
no, they're just saying, when are you going to put out your next podcast? I've been listening to you. I've enjoyed you. And had one lady say, you're funny. I was like, me? You're talking about me? I'm not funny. But
You were pretty funny last night out there by the fire.
I had some alcohol in me at that point. I do kind of tend to let loose when I'm a little more reserved until I have a drink or two.
I think you guys know a lot of people. It doesn't have to be homesteading. Have people on interview them.
Yeah, I will. Like I said, I got to figure out how to do that. But
Because every interview that you do with somebody, something else will come out that nobody else caught.
yeah, I always learn something too when I talk to other people. Even like when it's on a subject that I think I know a whole lot about. I always learn that there's a different way or a better way or something that I'd never thought of.
Yeah, another way. Does your soundboard look like this?
It's the exact same thing.
Hmm.
You know why?
You seem to go through a lot of trouble trying to get that thing to work.
Well, that was not the first one I bought.
Got it.
I bought the first one, and then I couldn't figure out how to get it to work. And then I sent it to you, and you said, this is what I have. And I went on Amazon, and that is what I bought.
And it's working for you?
And it's working great.
Good.
Yeah.
Because when I said, hey, we'll come out, that was all of us would come out there and get that squared away.
I got it done. That's actually very user-friendly.
Yeah.
Just figuring out how to have people call in is something that I'd like to learn how to do.
So you just need StreamYard.
I have StreamYard, but that's something I haven't figured out how to use. I've been using Buzzsprout.
Okay, stop that.
Okay.
Get StreamYard.
Don't you have to be, like, live to use StreamYard? Can you do it, like, just as a podcast?
No.
Does it have to be video?
There's an easier way we could talk about it.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
We use Zoom, but my computer crashes on Zoom. Like, I have to have 2 computers sitting here for some reason. And I think it's just my computer, but we run off Starlink.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, works pretty well.
I like Starlink a lot.
So what's the name of your podcast?
Keeping It Real, the Gorham Homestead podcast. And we talk about real food, real natural living, and real life on our Tennessee homestead.
That's good. And you have Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
I have Facebook and Instagram. I only have 1 or 2 things on TikTok, and I'm just getting started with my YouTube channel.
And you have a URL for that?
Yes.
You own it. You have it.
Yes.
Okay. Because if we say this and you, like, an asshole will go take all that shit.
No, yeah, I own it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, thank you for sitting down.
Thank you so much. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be.
Okay. Anything else, though?
I don't think so. I think we're good. I'm excited to be here at Self-Reliance Festival. Excited to be on the staff. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do. And I will say one thing I want to add is my life has changed for the better since the first time that I came to Self-Reliance Festival. That first day I talked to you back there in the kitchen, and I had not ever talked to Nicole. And I asked her mom, I said, do you think Nicole will be okay if I came up and talked to her? And she said, yeah, go talk to her. So I went up and talked to her, and then she asked me to come back the next week, and they were doing a workshop or something here, and I wanted somebody to cook breakfast. So I was like, yes, I'll do it. So I took off work that Friday, and I came back, and I cooked breakfast. And that was when I talked to you in the kitchen, and I told you that, Chester was like my brother from another mother. And then we made that connection at that point. And then I started coming to Self-Reliance Festival. I volunteered at the first time. By the second time, I was on the staff. And I never in a million years would have imagined quitting my job, for one thing, and being my own boss instead of answering, just because I've been an employee my whole life. I've never been in a position of supervising other people or managing or having any sort of business. I've never been in sales, never done any of that stuff. And I can sing in front of a million people, but talking is a whole different ballgame. I couldn't do it. I couldn't even do it when I sang. I had somebody else talking when I was doing that. So I have come so far, and everything, every aspect of my life has changed because of Self-Reliance Festival, and it has been for the better. I have built so much more confidence in myself. I'm not scared anymore. I can talk to people. I've come out of my shell, and it's been life-changing, and I can't imagine what life would be like had I not come that first time.
That's awesome.
I mean, every bit of it.
That's when we figured out that we had Thanksgiving dinner together. Was in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm, I think
we
so.
talked for about 45 minutes.
Yeah. It's funny, the connections that, it's a small world. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a gun that Jaeger made, that Chester passed on to me. And that's just another one of those mementos of life that's just from one of, you know what I mean? From an era.
Yeah.
From an era that's gone now, but it still has a lot of cool memories.
But it's on you to keep that going.
Forever.
You have to carry that on.
Yes, forever.
The era, not the gun.
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
I built this thing from the bottom, they tore it down, I rebuilt it. I give myself a 10